Javed Abdi Foundation, JAF, which also stands for Journalism, Advocacy and Fun. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, like, comment, and share. Uh, Shampa ma'am Shampa ma'am she's an activist. She is she's has tremendous experience of more than 25 years working in the disability and gender space. She is the founder and the director of Shruti Disability Rights Center, and she you know one thing when I was reading up about her work was that she was the first person in Kolkata to start you know a help group or a support group for parents with intellectual disabilities, and she's also worked in crisis situations with women. So a world of experience, and she's also the joint secretary of NPRD. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. And Anita ma'am, she is also an activist, author. She has written several books on disability. Some of them are disability in South Asia, knowledge and experience, rethinking disability, for which I actually have a copy which is signed by her, though I didn't get it signed by her. It was a memorabilia which I had in the library. And one of her most uh, read works. G. One of her most read works was Disembodied Form, Issues of Disabled Women. Anita ma'am was also the former president of the Indian Association for Women's Studies, and currently she is a professor at Ambedkar University. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. I would like to start off this session like Tanmay said. Gender sometimes, I can personally say it's a hard topic to talk about. So very recently I was also called to talk about but I was called to talk about the RPWD aspect of it, where I had to relate section 4 where it talks about women with disabilities and different sections. But I panicked. I was like, how do I do this? So I got on call with Rama ma'am. She helped me out. She told me, read this, read that, and it'll be good to only do this. So I want to start off with Shampa ma'am. What exactly is gender, and what should we understand by this term? And then Anita ma'am, you can also please share your views on this after Shampa.
Thank you, Samir, for inviting me and organizing this webinar. And thank you also for remembering Sholenda. I'll go to the topic, gender. I mean, I'll try to make it as simple as possible because this is not an academic lecture. Gender is a fluid concept. There is no specific these days we say disability is an evolving concept, right? And I mean, maybe for this audience it's not a new thing, but this was a new thing for us because we, Anita, we started working many years ago. That point of time, we had a different connotation of disability. And when we started working, I think both Anita, myself, all we were talking about is women with disabilities, and we thought we are talking about gender. But as we through our जैसे जैसे हम काम करते जाए हमें ऐसे पता चला कि जेंडर के मीनिंग अलग है, सिर्फ मेल फीमेल ये नहीं है. And it is also important to understand it is a social and cultural difference rather than a biological one. And there's a lot of similarities between disability, concept of disability and gender in that way, because these days we don't believe that disability is from a medical model. We try to see it from a
human rights
social model. Societal barrier kitna high ye hum dekhte hai. And gender can be range of identities, and it can be fluid also. So ऐसे हो सकता है कि एक ही है पर्सन, एक ही इंडिविजुअल है, लेकिन वो कभी उसे लगता है कि मैं इस जेंडर में बिलोंग करती हूँ, कभी लगता है कि ऐसे हो सकता है. एंड दिस आर द थिंग्स वी आर आल्सो लर्निंग as time is going. It's not that we had all this information when we started working. So that is something I think very important to understand, that uh, and it is not just men, women, transgender. It can be a range of identities. So ऐसे बहुत सारे identity हो सकता है. So uh, we are also, as uh, social activists, we are also learning that whole thing. I mean, the discourse was of course there, but understanding it is becoming much more easier for us now, because uh, people are more vocal about it. And also it's very important that the policy makers have started recognizing, because when we started working, again I'm saying that there were only male and female. Now even if I want to because itne sare students hai aapke group mein, to if they want to join any course, any university, they have the option of writing male, female, other. So ये option भी, ये legal changes हुआ है. It's not that we have enough changes done right now, but changes are also happening, and that is something very important to understand.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for making it clear. So that I mean, even activists are going along the way and picking things up, and it's a fluid concept. That itself. Anita, ma'am, your thoughts on what is gender, and with your experience, how is it changing, and like ma'am said, what are your thoughts on this? Anita ma'am, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Shamir, and for doing this, and thank you, Shampa. And of course, I would like to remember Javed also, since Shamir is connected to Javed. तो फोटोग्राफ मेरे सामने ही दिख रही है, तो इस करके मुझे लग रहा है कि बहुत साल पहले जावेद और हमने काम इकट्ठा शुरू किया था. मुझे लगता है कि मेरी जो वेंटेज पॉइंट थी, मैं बहुत पहले से, क्योंकि मैं दिल्ली में रहती थी, तो बहुत पहले से मैं विमेंस मूवमेंट के साथ जुड़ी हुई थी. लेकिन तब तक मुझे ये नहीं लगता था, शुड आई से इट इन हिंदी और इंग्लिश?
मैम जैसा भी आपको सही लगे, दोनों मिक्स्ड बोलेंगी तो बेस्ट रहेगा.
Okay. So I realized that I mean, I would, because the tendency was not to overcome disability and not really actually accept disability in that particular sense. So I was in the women's group and movement. But for some time, I mean, after I think as I joined college, and I started teaching psychology, and I realized that I mean, just to so that we can kind of laugh also something. So I kind of used to say कि nobody ever whistled at me, हालांकि मुझे बहुत बुरा लगेगा कि मैं ये कहूँ कि भाई ने whistle किया है, क्योंकि I can now cry blue murder, but at that point, the very fact that nobody even kind of looks at you as a woman, I think that in any case started kind of bothering me. And more so when I realized that after my MA, when I have often used this, when I said that I wanted to find a IAS form, and I was told that no, you are you can only do it 6x6 corrected glasses, and you can't do it otherwise. So I think the very idea somebody would say कि बेचारी अनीता, poor thing. This idea, and also, what Shampa has said, that from biological determinism, जिसमें कि हम लोग बोलते हैं कि या आदमी है या औरतें हैं, I mean, दो तरह का वो है, उससे हम लोग जेंडर की सोशल कंस्ट्रक्शन पर आए कि जेंडर कैन बी अ सोशल कंस्ट्रक्शन, और उसके बाद हम लोगों ने और ये कहा, जो शंपा ने कहा है कि थर्ड जेंडर, so LGBT group, or how we can kind of say that, and then I think of Victor in a leprosy patient who says that I am only a biological organism, which meant that even his masculinity in itself was not really, picked up in that particular sense. So I think the idea that, you are born as a woman, and of course, some people often use this word dohri or double, but I have a problem with that double understanding, because I don't think we have only double marginalization. I think the marginalization can go at many levels which are there, you can be, you are a disabled woman, but you are poor, you live in a rural area, or you live in a slum area, so there could be many levels which are there, where you could say that there is a multiplicity, of oppression that you experience. जब से लॉकडाउन हुआ, मुझे लगता है, and I kind of started experiencing, मुरली से मेरी बातचीत भी हुई थी, where I felt that for the first time, not that I haven't experienced, of course, I've always spoken about disability, I've written a book and all that on it, but now I realize that, the kind of issues that are there, and especially the issue of care, the very fact that, the disease is infectious, you have to wash your hands, as many times as you can, you have to have social distancing, and sometimes, your wheelchair is being, somebody has to help you with it, and also I think any of all these instructions which are there, and I realized that my caretaker, the you could say, जो housemaid जो थी मेरे पास, from 27 years onwards, she stopped coming, and I realized that for once, I knew that my parents are opposite, so there is best of both the worlds, but to clean the house, to wash the utensils, to do all those things in a wheelchair for 3-4 days, I thought that I was going like, mad, and then I asked these people, I think there has been one question which somebody has asked, कि जब फोन किसी को करते हैं तो आगे से फोन में जवाब नहीं देता है, लेकिन मैं ये कह सकती हूँ कि वहां मेरा एक्सपीरियंस बहुत बुरा नहीं था, क्योंकि मैंने दिल्ली स्टेट कमिश्नर के से बात करी और उनको मैंने ये कहा, तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, आप उस लड़की को अपने पास ही रखिए। तो मैंने कहा नहीं, वो पास नहीं रह सकती क्योंकि उसकी अपनी फैमिली भी है, तो she said then you will have to take a risk. I said yeah, that's okay, मेरा रिस्क है ना वो, तो आप मैं ले सकती हूँ। तो जब उन्होंने ये कहा तो उन्होंने मेरे को कहा कि आप अपना डिसेबिलिटी का सर्टिफिकेट दीजिए, और फिर केयर का वो जो केयर वर्कर का पास था वो मुझे, मतलब उस हफ्ते के अंदर, हफ्ता पूरा लग गया, हफ्ते में मुझे वो मिला, जो कि फिर मैंने बाकी सब लोगों के साथ भी शेयर किया कि आप इसको ले सकते हैं। तो कोविड के साथ मुझे बहुत सारी जो चीजें हैं जो एक औरत होने के नाते मेरे अंदर आती हैं, मुझे लगता है कि मैं हर रोज सोचती हूँ कि अगर कुछ मुझे हो गया, अगर वो वायरस मेरे पास चला गया, तो ऐसा कौन सा हॉस्पिटल है जहां मैं एक्चुअली में जा सकती हूँ। और अब कोई इस टाइम पे कोई फैमिली भी नहीं जा सकती आपके साथ। अभी तक तो कम से कम ये था कि आप फैमिली के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट हैं, लेकिन अब आप फैमिली को भी छोड़ के आपको अकेले जाना है। तो अगर अकेले जाना है और आप व्हीलचेयर यूजर हैं, तो आप किस तरह से एक औरत होने के नाते आप किस तरह से जा सकते हैं? मतलब ये जो क्वेश्चंस हैं, ये हमारे लिए बहुत अहम क्वेश्चंस आने शुरू हो गए। और छोटी छोटी चीजें, जैसे ग्रोसरी वाले को अगर आप फोन करो तो वो बोलते हैं कि अगर आप 1000 रुपए की चीज चाहिए तो हम आपको भेज सकते हैं, और अगर 1000 रुपए से कम है तो आप खुद आइए और लीजिए। और मैं फिर से नहीं निकल सकती हूँ बाहर उसमें, कि अगर मैं मोटराइज व्हीलचेयर पे निकलूं भी तो डर लगा रहता है कि अगर मुझे वायरस अगर अफेक्ट हो गया तो मैं करूंगी क्या। तो I just want to stop here, and then of course there can be many questions on that COVID itself has made me rethink and reflect on what a woman with disabilities existence is. How is it that I can live, और एकदम से मुझे ये भी लगना शुरू हो गया है कि आई एम गोइंग टू बी 62, और जैसे ही हमारी एज बढ़ेगी आगे और हम और डिपेंडेंट होते चले जाएंगे और लोगों के ऊपर, तो किस तरह की केयर है जो हमारे पास आएगी, और वो केयर गिवर्स जो हैं वो किस तरह से होंगे, और औरत होने के नाते कहाँ तक मैं यहाँ पे लाना चाहती हूँ, जो कि शंपा जरूर बात करेंगी, जो कि डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के बारे में। जैसे कि हम लोग हमेशा से कहते आए हैं कि डिसेबल्ड वुमेन के लिए जो डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस है वो फैमिली के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है, और हम कई बार इसको छोड़ भी नहीं सकते, क्योंकि अगर हम छोड़ के जाएंगे तो हम कहाँ रहेंगे। हालांकि ठीक है, मैं इंडिपेंडेंटली रहती हूँ या शंपा इंडिपेंडेंटली रहती है, लेकिन हम लोगों को सबको इंटरडिपेंडेंस चाहिए होती है ना, एक दूसरे के ऊपर डिपेंड करते हैं। लेकिन अगर इस तरह का वायलेंस जो कि हमारे ऊपर आए, जो कि फैमिली से आता है, तो फिर हमारा क्या होता है, ये हमें मतलब सोचने के लिए मजबूर करता है कि हम इसके बारे में सोचें। मैं इसको अभी चुप होती हूँ, और फिर अगर शंपा आगे से उसको करेंगी वो।
जी मैम, थैंक यू फॉर रेजिंग क्वाइट अ फ्यू इश्यूज रिगार्डिंग कोविड पे आपने बात करी, और डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के बारे में भी आपने बात करी। एंड I would actually like Shampa ma'am to retrace also what she had said. So one of the things that she talked about was a range. Gender is a range of identities that one can take. So ma'am, picking up from there, if you can tell us a bit about what do you mean by range of identities, and what Anita ma'am talked about, what are the laws, the policies in this country. I mean, the RPWD Act is there for people with disabilities and women with disabilities, and it talks about equality of women and children in Section 4, and even the state advisory boards and the central advisory boards have like a separate reservation for women, and a lot of different things are there. But what exactly is happening on the ground level when it comes to gender and disability, and further on the issue of domestic violence as well. Ma'am, over to you.
I mean, before even coming to the laws, like see, before RPD Act, we put like, of course, it was a joint effort by many groups. Anita was part of it. We could include the issue of women with disabilities in Criminal Law Amendment Act.
Yeah.
Which means the sexual violence that is happening, which is very common in lives of, so that part we could include. So and that came prior to RPD Act. It was 2013 the laws changed. But for me, I think it is also important to understand that we have a national disability policy. It was in 2006 prior to CRPD also. And that was the first official government document where women with disabilities was included. And there are quite a few points, issues included in the policy. I think it is also for, we should also reflect on how we could not use the policy document, because it was a national, I think it's a Northern Railway Employees Union. They used this policy, this national policy on disability, and made changes in railways that how women with disabilities can get extra benefits. But no other group as far as I have information, actually use this particular policy to bring in changes within the within any structure. Uh, it's very important because we'll talk a bit more about violence, domestic violence, because this policy actually said, and this was a 2016, sorry, 2006. It said that steps shall be taken to provide short duration stay homes for women with disabilities, hostels for working disabled women, and homes for aged disabled women. Now, this short stay home is something very important, as we realize when we work on domestic violence. Because a large number of women who actually reach out to us, they're facing severe abuse within their family, don't know where to keep them, because the short stay homes which are there are government policies for short stay homes, but they are not disabled friendly. So where will this woman go? And we have homes or orphanages type things which are for disabled people in general, or girls or boys, whatever, like women, men, but we do not have homes where a disabled woman who needs a short stay for few months in our country. And this is something, and this policy document is from 2006. So we also didn't really think of how we can use it, how we can pressurize government to have these separate homes. So this is something, I mean, we also need to retrospect and think that what are the things which could have been there. If I talk about the domestic violence, of course, we all know that during lockdown period, domestic violence in general increased. And at least the National Commission for Women says that it's increased. And they started a new helpline number. They started a WhatsApp number. But unfortunately, we don't know. I mean, from my organization, we have written to the NCW that is it accessible for women with disabilities. But unfortunately, these are the things we miss in the document, the guidelines that was given by social justice ministry for lockdown period. They also came out with that this should be the guideline, that this is something we should do. And the gender aspect was totally missing there. They didn't write anything about women there. So they only said issues like the issues that Anita was talking about, what about the caregivers issue. This is, of course, for anyone, it will, any disabled person will need a caregiver who's living alone. So those kind of issues were there. And so it's a very complex kind of situation we are in. We need to think of gender related problems. I'm talking about problems, and the disability related problems. So when we look at the intersection, it's a very complex kind of thing. Sometimes we also get very baffled. We don't know which ministry to approach, whether we should approach women and children ministry, or we should approach the social justice ministry. Because, and I think the government also take advantage of that situation so that they don't have to take the responsibility. I mean, that is my experience. So when we write to the Ministry of Women and Children, they just say that we are passing this letter to Ministry of Social Justice, and the Social Justice Ministry says this is not our issue. And it's still going on, even though there are so many mentions in the RPD Act. There are quite a few mentions in the RPD Act, and of course we all have to fight for it. It's not that we got it as easily as it seems now. But even then, I mean, I personally feel that whatever laws have been passed, we got some good implementation, some good results from the Criminal Law Amendment Act. Within the lockdown period, when there was a blind woman who was raped, they actually used the Criminal Law Amendment Act very cleverly what I saw in the newspaper reports. But I think the RPD at the gender-related, the women-related clauses of RPD Act still remains totally unimplemented, and it's very like clear that the government is not interested in implementing it, and this is something is a future advocacy should be focused on.
Thank you, ma'am.
JAF is a youth led initiative. We deeply appreciate the support of all our interns and volunteers. Thank you. You can follow us on Facebook at Javed Abdi Foundation, and you can tweet us at Rishad Shamir.